Hey there, Kazen here. I'm excited because I'm going to meet Shawn today. We're going to talk about her buddy read One Fine Day by Mollie Panter-Downes. It's a weird kind of buddy read because we didn't do the usual thing of reading a bit and then talking about it, reading a bit and then talking about it. We just read it. And I have no idea what he thought. I have no idea if he liked it or not. And we're going to have that discovery process of figuring out and finding out what each other thinks live and on camera in front of you guys. We thought it would be fun to predict each other's reactions to the book, and so without saying what I thought about it, I don't think Shawn's gonna like this. He likes beautiful writing, and while this writing is fine and there's some nice images, it's not pretty on the sentence level. It's not quotable. And he likes books that make him feel, that give him emotion. And again, this isn't quite that. At the very end, there was some, but I'm going to make a somewhat bold prediction and say that if it weren't for the buddy read, Shawn would have bailed on this. And he would have bailed fairly early, and I feel like maybe he struggled to get through this for the sake of the buddy read, which I feel kind of bad for. But that's my prediction. We'll see what he thinks, and I'm headed to see him now, so let's go.
Hey, I'm Shawn the Book Maniac. Welcome back to mine and Cousin's channel. I am off to meet Cousin in about 7 minutes, and I'm late to film my prediction of her reaction to this book that we will be discussing, Mollie Panter-Downes' One Fine Day. So I won't talk very much about my reaction, but I liked it. I quite liked it. And my prediction would be that Cousin, who cares a lot about plot, if she doesn't like it, and I think she probably won't like it, I don't think she'll hate it. But I don't think she'll like it because there isn't really a plot. It's just a day in the life of the female character, with a lot of character studies of the various people in her small town and her immediate family. But I don't know Cousin's reading taste well enough to predict that she will hate it. I just think she won't have enjoyed it as much as I did because there isn't much of a story to it. There's lots of backstory and stuff, so it'll be really interesting and will refine my understanding of Cousin's tastes to see whether the backstory that is woven so fantastically gives her enough plot that she will like it. So let's see how this will go, shall we?
Editing Kazen here, and at the park there were some cicadas, but they didn't sound that bad in person until we got home and then realized that the microphone loved the cicadas and made them very loud. I've gone through and I've reduced their sound as much as I've been able. It does make our voices a little bit more dull, but I think it makes it much more understandable. If you're not getting along with the sound, go ahead and turn on the closed captions. If you go to the lower right of the video, there's a CC button, and clicking on that will bring up the closed captions, which I do myself, so they have all of the dialogue tags so you know who is talking. It just would make things a lot easier for you if you're not liking what you hear. Alright, let's get back to it. So hello, I am Kazen. I am here with Shawn, whom you all know as the Book Maniac, and we are in his neighborhood. We are in his park.
Welcome to my park.
Yeah, you film outside a lot.
I do, and this is one of my favorite places because it's relatively spacious and a little more modern and a lot more trees than usual.
Yeah, and it's nice. We have some people here playing badminton, some kids running around. The cicadas are adding some atmosphere.
Atmosphere, definitely.
So,
and
yeah.
By the way, your cousin from, where are you
Always
from?
doing.
Yeah.
Always doing. Nice to see you guys.
You gotta check her out.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your 1-year anniversary.
Thank you very much.
I think my 2-year anniversary is today.
Seriously?
I don't know, or tomorrow.
I didn't know that.
Well, because I don't celebrate my birthdays.
Not even your YouTube birthdays?
I celebrate every time I get another
milestone
subscriber, and I figure doing both is too much, so I'm just gonna, for the time being, I'm just gonna go with the subscriber count, but I may go back, may cancel that later because it gets a bit egotistical.
Why give up an excuse for cake and celebrations?
And book giveaways.
And book giveaways,
book
if you'd like.
But I may start celebrating the birthdays instead and just forget about the subscriber count, but because, you know, eventually nobody new will ever subscribe to me again.
Because
and
there's no new people on YouTube ever. No one comes.
So what are we here for?
We are here because we both read One Fine Day by Mollie Panter-Downes. And thing is, for a buddy read, normally you talk about it. We didn't talk about it with each other at all. And okay, every time a bug goes by, I'm going to jump. Ignore that.
and it's going to fly and land on my head.
And I'll spot it.
And
we'll
I
be
am
good.
usually oblivious, and when I'm editing it, I realize the bug is.
Oh, they make me jump. Anyway, so
You and Kenji are a good pair.
so the thing is we don't know what each other thought about it, but you just did see our predictions. So now, do you want to do like a hand thing? We'll give thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, let's
Maybe
do
a
that.
so-so, or however
yeah,
we feel
so
about
it'd be
it.
like this, or this is good,
So we
or
have
great.
good, yep,
This
and
is
then
so-so, and this
and then
is bad.
Not good.
Not good.
So on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Wait, what? Really?
Yeah.
Really? I thought this would not be enough emotion for you.
Oh, interesting. So we have a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about.
So let's do that. Let's just quickly introduce it. This was published in 1947.
Yes.
Mollie Panter-Downes. It was her 3rd novel, and it's set in 1946. So it's in the immediate aftermath of World War II in London. It's the portrait of a community and its people in that immediate post-war phase. Mollie Panter-Downes, she just died at the end of the 20th century. She was 90. She died in 1998.
Good for her.
Something like that. And her first novel, it said in the introduction,
Yeah.
and I went to...
Oh, I didn't. Okay, so I skipped the introduction before I read because they give away stuff.
That's right.
And I never went back.
I just
so
did it
please
this
tell
morning.
me.
She wrote her first novel when her father was killed in World War I in some famous battle,
Okay.
and the family was poor. And she wrote a novel when she was 17, and it was
Whoa.
a bestseller. It was serialized, and it was a bestseller for that year.
Wow.
So in 1917, that would have been around, I can't do the math.
I can't
But anyway,
do the math either.
and then her second novel was a flop, and then she turned to journalism, and you know about her journalism.
Right, because that was London War Notes. It's been collected in a Persephone edition, and those were columns for the New Yorker.
That's right.
Written from the Blitz in London during World War II, and I loved that.
She considered herself a journalist more than a novelist. And then this one was published later in her life. Well, she not mid when she was middle-aged.
Yeah.
But having started when she was 17, seems like it was later in her life.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Yes.
the background.
Yes.
I thought yours would be something like this or
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I was a so-so. I was kind of bored in the beginning, and every chapter, especially after we get set up with a family, each chapter follows. It shows an entire day. So in the morning, people go off
Yes.
to work, and then she goes off to the town. It's like, okay, this is the chapter where we learn what's like in town, and this is the chapter where we see what the kids like in school. And it felt like little short stories, but they weren't enough for me for each one. They weren't character studies. I
Okay,
wanted a little
interesting.
more.
I thought they were great, pretty good, really good character studies.
Okay.
But I thought that there wasn't enough plot for you.
That was another thing.
Yeah.
It was hard to kind of pull through
Right.
a little bit, especially in that first, like by the time I got to 30%, I had to drag myself back to the page. The ending kind of made up for it a little
The ending
bit.
was better than
It
other
started
parts.
to pick up.
It did. There was actually a bit of a plot.
Yes.
Just a wee bit.
Just a little bit. Things happened, actually.
I like plotless fiction more than you do.
Yeah.
So that part was not a problem for me. The problem that I had, which made it a 4-star read rather than a 5,
Yeah.
was I thought it was overwritten. Mollie Panter-Downes never met an adjective or an adverb that she didn't put into her sentences.
Oh, okay. That didn't
So
bother me.
many. And it didn't make me hate the writing, but it detracted from it,
Do you have an example?
I do. I have an example of the adverbial diarrhea problem,
It says that literally in the margin.
but then a few
Word for
pages
word.
later, did an even more egregious example. So I'll give you the more egregious
Please
example.
do.
Just listen to how many adjectives and adverbs they are, which if about 50% of them were removed, this would be quite a beautiful passage. And it doesn't make this passage stink, but it just takes away the grandeur of it, I think. The cold English sea, she followed it in her imagination, all blue for once today, lapping quietly around the coast, sucking the concrete blocks which had been going to play canute to the invader, drawing a wrinkle of silk over the long sands where pink-toed children ran brandishing starfish by a rough pink ray, washing a deeper, more southern purple and indigo round the black rocks of St. Paul, then up the melancholy gull-haunted estuaries, and past the ruined castle on the grey point, round the farthest lonely islands, with the names like wild poetry, running up in gentle wavelets on shingle above which the Regency houses in need of paint turned peeling faces towards the great landmass of Europe, sighing against the chalk cliffs, and finally tying its girdle round the island's green waste with that knot of shining broad ribbon.
Okay, so this section, I remember because I read it last night, and I skimmed, because for me it wasn't adjectives, it was plotless.
Too much description.
It's too much description.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it doesn't start out badly, but by the end, it was just, I had to take so many breaths. So none of these, her writing doesn't roll trippingly off the tongue for me because of that. Still, and I also thought too many metaphors, too many symbols, so that would kind of fit in with
They didn't bother.
I didn't find an example of that, so maybe that was, I tend to react in the moment, and then when I go back, it's like, oh, maybe I dreamt that. So, but certainly I will stand by my criticism that there are too many adjectives and adverbs for my taste. Other readers would love this. This has a 4-star rating on Goodreads, and I gave it a 4-star, but I imagine that there would be lots of readers who'd like this kind of slightly flowery prose, and I don't.
I didn't either.
Otherwise, I thought it was very successful.
Okay.
I like my fiction to be character driven, and this was definitely character driven.
Sorry. Yes.
I liked the characters. I liked how well-rounded the characters of the women were. The main
women were good. I love Laura. Okay, Laura I really like. She's the wife, and whenever it was a chapter from her point of view, I was there for it. And she also had some of the great images. What I loved about this book were like a paragraph-long image that really stuck with me. May I pull one out?
Please, pull one out.
So here, Laura is meeting a relatively young man. Who's hot. And this is how he's looking at her. He looked at her amiably, as though she were a nice sofa. That must be the penalty of the gray hairs, the tired shadows under the eyes. That must be the beginning of getting old. She had noticed it. Young men looked at you as though you were a nice sofa, an article of furniture which they would never be desirous of acquiring.
That's a nice set piece. Yeah. That passage stuck out because she uses that image throughout her ruminations for the rest of the day. And she thinks of herself as an aging sofa.
Yeah. And there's another one later where there's a gentleman, a young man who gets off the bus, and she thinks how great it would be to be a young man and to not have any obligations, to be able to go off and go up that hill because you want to go up that hill and not have to come back with the shopping and to do all the work and to do everything else.
Yeah, there's a lot about that hill.
Yes.
It seemed like a mountain because of how much importance it was people placed on it, but it was the hill kind of overlooking where they lived in the town. And they all had their relationship with it or the things that it made them think of. And you can read the book and find out because it's just fascinating, isn't it? I enjoyed the gender stuff.
Yes, okay, the feminism stuff.
Really great.
Really interesting. And especially because the whole novel is looking at, these middle-class people that could afford to have servants at one point, when all the servants go off to work in the factories and decide never to come back, what do? They don't know, these women don't know how to cook, they don't know how to clean. And what happens? And also, not only does it look at that place, but it looks at their parents, people who have a little bit more money and are a little bit more well-entrenched, who can get away with staying that way.
Yes. And
those who are younger, who are doing what they want to do.
Exactly. And that moment, 1946, I mean, Britain just descended into a post-war depression, and it's shown so viscerally here in the lives of almost everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And it affected people in a gendered way, an economic way, and that is really well done.
Speaking of gendered stuff.
Yes.
Did you like Stephen, the husband?
No, but I thought he was humanized at the end to a certain degree, which is about as much as you could expect of a portrayal of a straight man in the 1940s.
I was okay with him until the end.
Oh, interesting.
Because
okay.
He had one chapter from his point of view, I think.
Yes,
right?
I think so too.
Okay.
I think there were times when we might have dipped a little bit in the early chapter. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. My gardener does good roses. I think we kind of dipped into his I was flipping through it, but it wasn't a whole chapter.
You're right. And he's gone at work all day, so we don't know what's going on. But then at the end, Stephen, to whom the unstockinged legs of the women in England blew with December cold, splashed depressingly with mud as they scuffled after buses had been one of the most unpleasant of the minor post-war shocks. Like, is that really ration books? I'm assuming you're coming back to ration books that may not have been there before. That your house is in shambles compared to what you're used to. Everything else, and that's the most unpleasant of your post. Really?
Yeah, I actually didn't. I think I kind of missed that sentence. There's other examples of what an asshole he could be. But I thought he was a complete asshole until that final chapter where, you know, there was another side of him shown, and that's as good as it gets, you know.
Because we see him with his daughter a little bit.
That's right, and his thoughts about his wife, and we won't say anything.
No,
if there's spoilers, that might be one.
Yeah. Up until that point, I was like, okay, you're a man at the time, I get it, you're being a little mean, whatever. But then hearing that, and then there was one where he said that, and it was something which Laura would never really understand, bless her heart. And maybe that's me, because that's a southern thing, right?
No,
in
it's
the
not.
US?
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere? Okay. And it was something which Laura would never really understand, bless her heart. For women loved people, things, places, but not an idea. Like, women are incapable of... Yeah. So that got my hackles up.
And how lovely that is put into the mouth of a straight white male character by Mollie Panter-Downes. A professional journalist
Yes.
at a time when that was very rare for women. So that's, you know, in a way, that's how she's making her feminist
statement.
No, I know
right.
you know, but
yeah. And like you can see through Laura the other side of it.
That's right.
Definitely.
Laura was a hot mess, and I loved her.
Yes. She's like your stereotypical dreamer.
Hair's messy, and she can't cook.
Yeah, no.
Having trouble. No, this is a bit of an aside. I enjoyed this, but if I was going to put Mollie Panter-Downes to work to write a novel that you and I would both love, I would like her to have written, in addition to this, or maybe instead of this, a novel about the war years when Laura lived in that house with all those women.
Ah, yes, because they
Wouldn't that be
talk about this.
fascinating?
That would be fascinating.
That story that I would love to have seen written, that I would love to read, would remind me of one of my favorite novels by the Canadian writer Helen Humphreys, called The Lost Garden, which is set during the war, and it's, do you know about the Wrens? It's like the women's volunteer army that did stuff alongside the men, not combat.
Like the women's auxiliary?
Something like that?
What were they called? Waves or something?
Well, in UK they were called Wrens.
Okay.
I don't know anything about America.
No
but
idea.
Anyway, there's a novel, and I think maybe they weren't Wrens. They were land girls, which were volunteers not in any military hierarchy, that went to this estate and which had been given up in the service of the war effort, and they grew potatoes and stuff for the soldiers. And it's about a group of them. And I think you would like it. I'm not sure if there's enough plot. There's more plot than there is here.
Well, that would help.
Yeah, I think you might like it. It was very romantic.
That helps too.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway, I couldn't help thinking of that Helen Humphreys novel as I was reading this. What else would you like to say?
While reading this book, I actually thought of 2 Japanese proverbs.
Oh.
As I was reading it.
This is a Japanese novel.
No, but one of them is Kuni yaburete san ga ari, which means, do you know this one?
No.
Okay. It means the country is destroyed, but the rivers and mountains remain.
Oh, that's perfect. That's fabulous.
Yeah, and it just, because in the beginning there's a set piece where she's talking about the landscape. That hill means so much, and they talk about it in relation to the war and what would happen if they lost and because they didn't lose. And that would just really fit, I think.
That's fabulous.
The other one was Ichigo Ichie, which is used in tea ceremony, but the idea is that the first time you meet somebody may be the last time you meet somebody, so you should make the most of every meeting, because you never know if you'll be able to meet somebody again.
Wow.
So there were some parts, just a little bit, mostly in the way it ended.
Yep.
I thought that fit.
That's fabulous. I love those. I'm going to study this video so I can start using them. The only
they're only useful like once a year.
The only idiom that I have memorized and topical for my life. Somebody taught it to me when my last boyfriend and I broke up. Nanakarobi yaoki.
Yes.
Fall down
7 times, get up 8. Which, if you think about it, makes sense in a weird... Like, it's weird because if you fall down 7 times, you get up 7 times. What's the 8th time? Is that going over? Is that doing even better?
I don't know. Math is not my strong suit.
No math here.
You're fantastic.
We're good.
You're fantastic. Do you have any favorite anything that you'd like to share or just gesture towards?
I really liked the passage that I read. Just these
The
images, the sofa, and just those one paragraph images. There's one when she meets her husband after the war, when he comes back at the train station, that I thought was a beautiful image. And
so nuanced. The emotions of that were so nuanced.
yes.
Not.
Yes.
Yeah, nuanced.
And I loved those little bits, but as a whole, it was kind of hard for me to get through.
Okay. I have a couple. I'm not going to read them. I might read one that's very short, but I loved the scene at the Squire's house, the old house up on the hill that was being vacated. The old lady, she wasn't called lady, so she wasn't titled, but she was like the Squire's widow, maybe 80, and her sister-in-law, the spinster who had never married, and she was about 80 and couldn't hear, and was maybe not quite all there. And Laura visits them, and they're about to move out and move into a cottage on the property and give their house and property for his boys' school or something? Something like that.
There was one house that was a historic trust, but I can't remember if that was the one or not. Yeah.
The way that chapter ends, where the Mrs. Widow woman takes Laura out to show her her new digs, and the old spinster lady is left sitting by the fire, and there's humongous paintings of their ancestors on the wall, and the fire's burning down and the tea's getting cold, and just the description of her sitting there to show the end of an era, I thought was so powerful, even though there were probably one or two too many adjectives. In fact, that family's servant, her name was Fowler, and we dip into her consciousness for about a page and a half and show her, because during the war, that property had been given over to house Canadian soldiers. And Fowler was this elderly servant who'd been with the family for, decades and decades and decades. She didn't like the way the Canadians joked with her and flirted with her and stuff. And then the war comes to an end. And I'm not going to read it continuously, I'll just read the stuff I've underlined. She says, "Thank goodness," and then, "Thank goodness it's over," she had said. "For would not everything now be as it used to be?" And I thought, that's the novel right there. Because no.
I had a different place. Oh, but it would be spoilery. I had a different place that was what the novel was. And it was Laura, actually.
Oh, show it to me. And
That was a flower. That wasn't a bug.
See?
I was scared by a flower.
She's scared of flowers! I didn't love this novel. I mean, I loved some things about it, but the language was enough to bring it down to a 4-star. Which for me, I can't say I loved it. I would read something else by her. Do you think I would enjoy her nonfiction? How you liked her nonfiction?
I liked the nonfiction for the same reason, the thing I felt liked in this, and that there were some great images as well. And those were nice little short columns, so it was easier to break them off and read them in shorter spurts.
Great, well I will maybe try that. And now we are being swarmed by bugs and beautiful little noisy children, so should we wrap?
Sounds good to me.
Any closing comments?
Nothing in particular. How about you?
I think this has been one fine day.
It has. And I'm ready for a fine lunch.
Let's go for lunch. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
So you didn't think I would like it?
No.
Interesting. Okay, we got lots of stuff.
Yes, we do.
Good for her for dying.
No.
I know.
No. Good for her for lasting that long.
Totally
well done, woman.
The sun's already getting to my brain.
1 second. Let me get the bugs. All right. Sorry, that was a mosquito. I told you I freak out.
We need to have some outtakes on this video.